A lot of people that come to us telling us all about a certain situation that's bad and it's horrible and it's ugly, and so we check it out. And sometimes it's just somebody local that is disgruntled about this or that, and it's just not a big deal. And every now and again one pops up, and the horror stories are all the way across the country. Such a situation has occurred with family courts. There are horror stories from one end of the country to the other. I'm going to be fair about this, is how many family court judges are there that are good? How many divorces go through these courts where the people do walk away happy? The second thing that I have to offer to anybody involved in family court right here in this area right now, you have equal time. I will get you a crew together and we will get you airtime, and you just come on down here and you tell us where we're wrong. Stephen Baskerville, who has authored the book that's sitting right here in front of me, called Taken into Custody, is going to present to you some of the things that he's learned in his work. I don't know, has he been involved in family court, or, I mean, have they attacked him personally?
Well, he's an academic, and he studied the issue from a learned standpoint. The book is it's very interesting, it's very moving, it's very powerful, and I think it's a very good read. If anyone's been involved in family court, I think it would be a good idea to pick the book up and give it a read.
Do you feel like you came out of family court as a whole person and satisfied with their resolution of your life?
Nobody comes out of it as a whole person. These courts are designed to tear apart your family life, to tear apart your private life. They invade, they destroy your personal life, and they are destroying the social fabric of this country. This is an extreme form of bureaucratic government. Bureaucratic government, as is well known, tends to expand itself. It tends to create problems for itself to solve. It tends to create the very problem it's supposed to be solving. Bureaucracy is a phenomenon of the 20th and 21st centuries, but it has reached a new stage. We have created bureaucratic tyrannies. That is familiar from the bureaucratic tyrannies of the last century, of Nazism and fascism and communism. And this is another form of bureaucratic tyranny. In other words, it's not just bureaucratic bloat or bureaucratic inefficiency or bureaucratic waste. It is a form of bureaucratic tyranny that invades the private sphere of life. Another factor that contributes to this is that we have turned our back on constitutional principles, which protected the private lives of American citizens. Constitutional principles which protected the rights of individuals. In particular, they protected for decades, for centuries, the rights of families and the private home. We've ignored that.
Bureaucrats and bureaucracies, and I know that one thing is standard with them. They will work overtime to protect their jobs so that they can work overtime without much feeling whatsoever for whoever's involved. In this case, it would be the family. And I'm appalled that a family, let's just say the children, become the pawns in this kind of a situation.
It's an impersonal system of government growth. The people that are caught up in it, the people that are part of it, the people that operate it, often have no control over it themselves. It's not something that is created by a single dictator, a single strongman, or a military government. It's an impersonal system of government growth, and the people in it did not create it. They often have no control over it. They often have no ability to control it or end it themselves. If they don't go along with it, they themselves will be destroyed by it. So it's a very frightening scenario that we're seeing here.
If I'm understanding you correctly, you're basically saying that this is a system that has just developed itself. It's just morphed out of, well, in this case, the sewer, but it's its own victim. It feeds on itself and people too. It's a way of life for these judges. Is that correct?
Well, it certainly feeds on itself. Yes, I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere. It certainly came out of radical ideologies. The radical ideology specifically of organized feminism was the main one that it came out of. It came out of our. I think it's also fair to say that it came out of our out-of-control judicial system. Our judiciary has itself become a huge bloated bureaucracy. It has become terribly corrupt.
Special courts are created specifically to process parents for political offenses.
That's right. Family courts are specialized courts, and specialized courts are always dangerous. We have courts to deal with civil transgressions. We have criminal courts to deal with criminal transgressions. Family courts are neither. As such, they are a specialized court to deal with a specialized problem, and unfortunately they create the problem that they're supposed to be dealing with. They are essentially political courts. They are controlled by the bar associations. They are controlled by the feminist groups. They are controlled to some extent by the psychotherapy industries. And we're now seeing they're becoming even more specialized and even more corrupt. We now have not only family courts, they're increasingly creating what are called domestic violence courts. And domestic violence courts are courts that exist for no other reason than to railroad people into jail. They do not dispense due process of law. We have criminal courts. If someone commits a violent assault, they can be taken to court on criminal assault charges, and they can be tried according to due process of law. Why then do we have special domestic violence courts? We don't have special shoplifting courts. We don't have special jaywalking courts.
Well, give them time.
Why do we have special domestic violence courts? And the reason for that is because domestic violence is itself an artificial category which has been conjured up by ideological interests like feminists for the purpose of bypassing, for the specific purpose of bypassing, circumventing due process procedures to take place in criminal courts.
Well,
so by creating special courts, they create special procedures which bypass due process and railroad the innocent.
What about this? Government agents entering the homes, demanding and examining private papers and personal effects, and seizing the property of citizens who are under no suspicion of legal wrongdoing.
Well, that's right. Again, family courts do that precisely. They can demand your private information about your private life. They can examine your bank account, all of your financial records, all of your financial statements, all of your personal papers, without giving any reason. They all claim it's for the children, to make sure that you're taking care of your children properly, even if you're under no suspicion of not taking care of your children properly.
Let me try one more of these. Bureaucratic police, I'm not sure what that is, but I don't like the sound of it. Bureaucratic police authorized to issue subpoenas and arrest warrants against parents with no hearing and contrary to due process of law. You covered that briefly. But who are these people?
Well, by bureaucratic police, what I mean are plainclothes functionaries, usually civil servants, who effectively operate as police, even though they're not usually called police. And the specific examples of that are the people we call social workers. Social workers are essentially police. And this can be documented, and I'm not the first one to say this, by the way. But Child Protective Services, for example, the people that claim to be protecting children from their own parents and from child abuse, their role is essentially a police function. They come into the home and they enforce the laws against child abuse. Unfortunately, the laws against child abuse has no precise definition. Child abuse is not defined like other crimes according to jury trials. It is defined as